wanted to write from like the moment I couldn't even spell.
But
I
do agree. I got a lot to learn when it comes to acting. I still got to practice.
We're on the radio promoting the show and had invited people.
Better than the first. The Adam Talks Podcast, Season 2.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Adam Ray, here on the Adam Talks Podcast. You know, it's really an awesome episode we got coming today for you. I'm very excited about it. But before we begin, if you could do me just one favor, just one real quick favor, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on one of the platforms that we stream on, go ahead and give us a follow. It means so much to us, you have no idea. But as I said before, today we have a great episode planned for you. It's an awesome episode. It looks a little bit different than it does right now. The lighting is different, and I'm wearing slightly different clothes. But it is a very good episode with the owners of Vapors Championship Wrestling. We're talking to Rich Rockwell and Keith Daniels. We talk about wrestling in general throughout the years, you know, the Attitude Era. We talk WCW for a little bit. We talk about Arkansas wrestling, which is an awesome conversation that I love to have. It's a great, awesome conversation, guys. It's something that you're going to want to watch, just something you're going to want to listen to, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm not going to hold you up any further. This is my conversation with the owners of Vapor Championship Wrestling.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is a very unique episode. It's the first of many, hopefully, to come. The first video episode, apart from the Maxwell Blade Thanksgiving special we did last year. This is the first and hopefully the standard. Continuing on with the Adam Talks Podcast, I am here with the Vapors Championship Wrestling owners. To the left, you have Keith Daniels, and to the right, you have Rich Rockwell. Guys, how's it been?
It's been good, man. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing awesome. It's great to have y'all on here. I know me and you, Rich, talked for a little bit last season. We talked for an hour or so, and it was a great conversation. And this wasn't even a thing at that point. Vapors.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, this wasn't even thought about back when we were talking. We were just doing I still am, but strictly just focused on the ring announcing thing back then.
Yeah, man. Keith, how are you doing, man? I've never met you, actually.
I'm doing great.
Very good, man. Very good. Rich, we talked a little bit. I'm going to talk to Keith just for a little bit because the audience hasn't seen him yet. Keith, man, how have you been, and how did your history with wrestling start?
Probably about 45 years ago, watching wrestling with my grandfather. And then my uncle would get all the wrestling. I remember first WrestleMania, I was like probably 5 or 6.
Holy cow.
Super into it. Yeah, I've been watching it I'm 47 now. I've probably been continuously watching for about 40 years.
Oh, wow, man. What kind of hooked you into it? Was it the family environment like you were talking about with your grandfather? Was it just that family thing that kind of brought you in and kept you hooked? Or what kept you staying in with wrestling for so long?
Yeah, it was a pretty rough childhood. So when I got to have family time, like it's what we did. Me and my cousin, we would every Saturday watch Hulk Hogan's Rocket Wrestling cartoon, the Saturday wrestling, Saturday night's main event. Our whole weekend was just wrestling. It was the only time we ever bonded.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I told Rich on the episode that we did last season about my uncle and my dad both got me into wrestling. I've been a fan since I was 7. WCW Nitro, 1997, watching DDP and the Macho Man fight each other. That's the real feud that hooked me into it and made me go, this is nuts, man. This is some crazy stuff. And it hooked me. You know what I mean? Was there any kind of feuds or stories that hooked you in?
Yeah. Macho Man and Bad News Brown.
Ooh.
Bad News Brown kidnapped Elizabeth at one of the Saturday Night Main Event shows, and he came out. He had like a rat in a cage. Bad News Brown.
Oh God.
He was huge when I'm like this big, and Bad News was just a giant guy, and Macho Man was my all-time favorite. Their feud really got me hooked. I was probably 10 at that time.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I understand that completely. My brother was a huge Hulk Hogan fan, and Macho Man and him were hand in hand in the NWO at that time. So you'd see Hulk Hogan come out and be like, "What are the Hulkamaniacs doing out here right now, brother?" And talking about the NWO and stuff like that. And then the Macho Man would be like, "Ooh, yeah, Diamond Dallas Page, gonna run wild. Ain't happening, Jack. I don't think so. No way, no how. The NW..." Anyways, I'm getting on a tangent now. But the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan went hand in hand, so I can understand how the Macho Man could be your favorite. He was one of the most charismatic wrestlers ever, I would say. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. He was a perfectionist, too. I've read a lot about the Steamboat Macho Man match, and he had like 10 pages of notes, and literally like,
holy cow.
Okay, you're going to grab me, and we're going to move this, we're going to move that. And then it was very detailed in perfection.
Man.
He's the number one on the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers for me.
Oh, definitely, man. Was there ever a point whenever you kind of fell out of wrestling, or has it always been something that you've loved throughout your entire life?
I don't ever remember not watching.
Okay, all right.
Consistent.
Here's a question for both of you guys. Is, a lot of people think the Attitude Era was the best wrestling time period, like the best time, the biggest booming time in wrestling. For me, I would say it was a lot more car crash than anything, and the stories weren't always there. The wrestling wasn't always on point, but you got crazy stuff that drew people in at that time. What is y'all's opinion on the Attitude Era?
You want to answer that one first?
There'd be no cruiserweights without it. And the cruiserweights, luchadors, all that, WCW, without that, I don't think we would have them now, as prevalent as it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I would agree with that. I think, as we talked before back during the announcing episode that we did, the Attitude Era is kind of what pulled me back into it. I remember growing up as a kid and, watching like the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior, Junkyard Dog, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, all the old guys. That's what introduced me to it, and then I fell out of it, and then the Attitude Era is what brought me really back into it. I mean, as a natural progression, I think the Attitude Era had to be there, and I think that's what really helped WWE especially become the powerhouse that it was, and not even, of course we got out of it, the whole WCW, WWE Monday Night Wars and everything like that. But, I think the main thing, even as you were saying that with like, the storylines weren't always there and, angles and stuff and certain things didn't make sense. At the bottom of it all, the biggest feuds, of course, that I remember seeing during the Attitude era was, of course, Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, or The Rock, you had Corporate Rock and the Corporation with Triple H and everything. And I think really that's where, because so many people can connect to that. There's not a single person out there I can't think of off the top of my head that hasn't had a job where you want to tell your manager to take something and shove it up there. Yeah. And to be able to see that played out and kind of live vicariously through that character portraying that the Attitude Area, I think is really what just, captured the audience and pulled them in completely and made it so popular, because there was so many different, while there were the crazy storylines out there was so many lines that, angles that the average Joe, you and I, could relate to and feel, when the good guy got screwed over, we could feel getting, screwed over because we've been there before. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. For me, the Attitude Era was not WWF, it was WCW. Because that's the show that I related to the most. I loved watching the action in WCW. Like you said, Keith, the cruiserweights, man. Rey Mysterio was a small dude, and I'm 5'6". So seeing him when I was a little bitty kid doing all these flips and stuff like that, it gave me the thought in my head, hey, I could do this one day. And that's where that dream came from for me to be a professional wrestler, watching them, seeing these stories that people like Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero would tell in the ring, seeing stories that DDP and the Macho Man would tell, Sting and Hulk Hogan, all of these greats were in there. And heck, even Dean Malenko, you could throw him in there because he was a technician among technicians. You know what I mean? The man of thousand holds.
Yeah, he's also one of my top favorites.
Oh yeah, he's great. My uncle.
Your show, man of 1001. Armbar.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Move
Run this big
armbar.
list out. Yeah.
Armbar. Like armbar.
Yeah. Brought this big list out and just kept going with it, man. Just running through the list and making different things up. And I'm sure he said armbar like 15 times in there or something. But
he did it through the whole commercial break in the arena too. He just kept pulling the paper.
Yeah. It was a very good time, in my opinion, on the WCW side of things, for the stories, for the great matches, and the stuff that I found that I was most interested in. I'm not extremely interested in the car crash, where, like you said, Rich, a lot of people can relate to that for sure, and I agree that I could relate to punching a boss in the face whenever they piss you off, But for me, it was the stories, and it was the characters, and it was the cool moves and the matches of WCW that hooked me in. I fell out, and then I came back in the Ruthless Aggression era. 2000 and late 2004, early 2005 is whenever I started getting back into wrestling, and that was Evolution. That was John Cena versus JBL. That was Batista versus Triple H at Mania 21, and it was just a really good time. Looking at nowadays in wrestling, you have TNA, you have AEW, you have WWE, you have New Japan, and then you have all of these great promotions within our state of Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And you've got South Central Wrestling, which has been Hot Springs' only promotion for the past 5 years. And Rich, you're very familiar with SCW. I'm sure you are as well, Keith. But
yeah, I actually sponsor SCW.
Nice.
I manage Frosty Treat, and we've sponsored SCW last year as well. I'm sponsoring them again this year.
Right, they're great. I love Antonio. He's a great dude, He was on the show. He was on the show this season. He was my second guest, I want to say.
Yep.
I listened a few weeks ago.
Yeah. He's the guy that gave me my chance to be a professional wrestler. He's the guy that trained me. He's the guy that gave me my first 3 professional wrestling matches. So it's a really cool thing to see this growth over the past 5 years, from 2018 to 2024 now in the SCW. What is y'all's thought on the state of professional wrestling in Arkansas currently?
I love it. There's not enough of it, but there's a ton of it at the same time. It's just spread it. I could probably drive an hour any direction and find a wrestling show to go to, which is great.
Yep.
The talent in Arkansas is top notch.
It's through the roof, man.
I think Arkansas is getting more noticed, certainly along the independent scene. You know, I know that there's been a lot of changes just on the landscape of wrestling in Arkansas. I know that, you know, it wasn't that long ago that the Athletic Commission kind of oversaw, you know, everything with wrestling. You had to be, you know, licensed and have blood work to be a wrestler, to be a referee, to be an announcer. You had to have a license to be a promoter, you know. That has since gone away. I know that the Athletic Commission doesn't really oversee anything to do with wrestling anymore in the state of Arkansas, which is, you know, I think it's a pro and a con because you do have, you know, now the opportunity where a lot of people that, you know, have wanted to start up an independent promotion are, you know, now able to because they don't have to worry about, you know, all those additional fees right off the top just to get started. But on the flip side of that, you know, again, it can be, you know, something that if you don't want to put a lot into it, you don't have to put a lot of money into starting up an event or a promotion, and therefore you know, kind of get what they refer to as mud shows, you know, and just fly-by-night promotions. But, you know, in the long scheme of things, I think the general goal for everybody, out of especially a lot of the promoters that I've talked to just through announcing and also, you know, starting this new venture out, a lot of us really want to bring Arkansas back to being a prevalent place for wrestling. It used to be back in the territory days that you would have, you know, some promotion. Pretty much Arkansas was a major stop for all the promotions, and you'd have a different one coming through every week. And, you know, eventually that went away. I've heard lots of different reasons why. But, you know, a lot of promotions stopped coming through Arkansas. And then, you know, of course, the territory wars went away. And I think just as, you know, without touching on too many things in current events, you know, we've all heard about the Vince McMahon thing going on with WWE. But I really firmly believe that from the independent side all the way up to, you know, what I refer to as the big leagues, the AEW, the WWE, the Ring of Honor, the TNA, you know, the New Japan. I think that we are on the cusp of a complete landscape change within the wrestling industry as a whole.
Okay. You care to elaborate on that? As far as that change, what kind of a change are we talking about?
Well, I mean, I think we're just seeing, you know, the opportunity for a lot of new guys and new promotions wanting to get noticed. I think people are looking to start thinking outside the box as far as, you know, I mean, normally used to be, like we've all heard, you know, Vince McMahon, as far as getting booked on, you know, WWF, he wanted the big monster guys, you know, the guys with the big muscles that were larger than life and 7 feet tall, and if you were a monster, you were in. But if you were, you know, a cruiserweight, you know, you had a little bit of, you were pretty much stuck to the mid-early cards. And I think now, you know, that while, you know, of course that is still looked on, I think that more people are open to looking at the cruiserweights and the high flyers, and things like that. I think the other aspect of it is, you know, you have equally those that are looking for that. You have equally the same amount of promoters and promotions that are looking to return back to that classic style of wrestling and not focus so much on the, you know, acrobatic and aerial moves as much as just, you know, a downright, you know, Triton blows, old-fashioned wrestling holds match. You know?
A fight.
Yeah.
Like William Blackwell.
Absolutely.
Some good
William J. Blackwell, man. Yes, sir. Him and Alexander Gold both do that same sort of thing. And Xander's been on, he's been on AEW Dark whenever it was on, which was nuts seeing a guy that's wrestled here in the state on a major stage like that. You know, someone not only in the state, but in the town I live in Hot Springs, because he was the South Central Wrestling heavyweight champion at one point. So that's even more nuts. You know, somebody who's been in our area wrestling at the highest level that you can. The highest level you can, apart from, you know, WWE. But I understand that completely. It makes a lot of sense. You know, you go in there. Wrestling is a fight. You know, it's a simulated fight, but it's a fight nonetheless. You know, you know what's going to happen by the end. You know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen in the middle or how it's going to start, but you know what the end result's going to be, and everything else is determined by those wrestlers. You want to see a fight, though. The audience comes to see people kicking ass, taking names and kicking ass and not caring about what else is going on until after. You know what I mean? I think that South Central Wrestling has done a great job with showing the old school, the classic wrestling form. They keep it family friendly, but also they know how to break it down and make it look really tough, really vicious at times as well. For you guys, what is the most important aspect of wrestling for you? Is it the matches, the stories, is it the presentation, or is it kind of a mix of all of it?
It's definitely a mixture. I love mat wrestling, but you get someone in there like Spider, and he's got a whole style of his own that's just him, Troy Twain. They've had some of my favorite indie matches. It's just great.
Yeah.
What about you, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say to add on to that. There's so many, and especially with us, going down this venture of, being promoters now, there's so many just different moving parts that go into every event that even just as being a ring announcer, I didn't realize until I started going down this, new venture with Keith here and our other partner, Mike Dampier. That I can't really come out and say, this is the most important aspect. I mean, I think, it encompasses, to say this is the most important aspect encompasses a whole bunch of different things. You have to have, the talent, obviously, in the ring that are trained properly and know what they're doing and are able to, and understand the psychology behind telling a story with their match, not just going out and saying, I'm going to beat you up. No, I'm going to beat you up. No, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. And then we go out and somebody wins. Like, it's just, just a general map. But being able to really, connect with the audience and tell that story and get it understood and get it over and get that reaction, all the things that go into just that. And to me, that's the most important aspect, is being able to, one, tell a story successfully enough that even if it's one person, that one person can connect in the audience and relate to it. Because, let's be honest here, we can all throw up a ring every single day of the week and go have some fun in it and throw some moves down on each other. If there's nobody there to watch it, what are we doing it for?
Right. I can understand that completely. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Anybody can, like you just said, anybody can just throw a wrestling thing together at any point, and promotions are popping up all over the place. The promotion I've worked with the most recently is the IWF out of Fort Smith, and they are a small promotion that it seems like they kind of just threw stuff together. They had enough money they could pay some people to come in and wrestle, and there's not a lot of storytelling, and they're just starting, it seems like, to try to tell stories in this ring, in this environment and stuff. And they've got, I feel like I still got one more match at least that I got to do, because I'm currently their Intercontinental Champion. But there's certainly a lot that they could work on as far as a smaller promotion. And I would say, I've ran a backyard promotion, and there's potential in the future for possibility of something happening with that promotion later on down the line, And I'm sure I've talked to you a little bit in private about it, Rich. But it's a lot more difficult to put on a show in front of people. It's a lot more difficult to know what you want to do and to be able to have the money to support this dream or this goal in mind.
Absolutely.
What are before I ask anything else, how did this venture start for you guys?
We laughed because I was just telling him, I said, I'm sure at some point he's probably going to ask how we came up with this idea.
Nope. I was just going to let it go. I was just going to let it go the whole time, asking you random wrestling questions, and at the very end just go, Oh yeah. What is this? What are y'all
It
doing?
was
Yeah. No.
very random, very organically. We were driving back from somewhere, and we just talk wrestling every time we're on the road, going to and from shows. And I was just like, "Hey, I bet we could put a show on." And he's like, "Man, we know enough people." I was kind
Yeah.
of half joking, half serious. The next day, he messages me. He's like, "Yo, I can get a ring." And 2 days later, we have a ring rented. We have all of a sudden people messaging us, and they're like, "Oh, I heard you're doing a show." Like, and now here we are. I'm already working on writing our third show.
Oh wow. Right
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
What's real quick? What's the difficult part about booking a show for you?
Oh, uh, it's hard to say. A lot of the guys I'm booking are known guys. They're all real professionals, so they'll basically do whatever we write for them. But uh, there are guys that were mad because I wanted them to lose, or they didn't like how something was going. I know one of our matches I probably rewrote 20 times. I've spent
Jeez.
hours and hours and hours and hours, like, just trying to figure the right way to do it. I need to, I got guys wrestling each other where I got to figure out how to make them both look strong and still make someone lose.
Yeah.
It's pretty stressful.
Yeah, I'd imagine, man. I'd imagine. How do you deal with that kind of stress, Keith?
I just keep at it. I have other people that book elsewhere. I'll talk to them about ideas. I watch all kinds of other podcasts about wrestling and booking and all kinds of other. I'm just always studying, always trying to learn everything I can. I go to any show I can get to, and I watch what they're doing and see how things work.
Okay, right on. It's good to have a support system, a line of contacts out there, is what I'm gathering from what you're saying. Because
Oh yeah,
if you're starting, if you're young in this game, which you guys are just starting, so you're young in the promoting game. If you're young in the game, it helps to have people who know what they're doing and have been doing it for a little while to reach out and say, how would you do this, or what is the best way to go about this part, or whatever. So I can understand that in a big way, reaching out. Rick, what is your part in this? Do you have the talent on point where you can help to get them on the show? Keith, are you booking, or is it a collaborative thing? Is it a collaborative
booking.
story creative thing?
Yeah, I'm head
Okay.
of creative, and I'm pretty much a sole booker.
Yeah. Keith
Okay.
really stepped up when we were first talking about everything, and he's like, I want to be the creative guy. I want to do the booking and everything. And I was like, great, go for it. I think both of us, when we first started, we kind of both just talked with each other, and we're like, okay, well, if you were going to do an event, who would you want? Who would you want to have on it? Who would you want to have face up? Who do you think looks good? And
Definitely.
most of, I would say 99.9% of the names, both of us were like, oh, what about them? Yeah, absolutely. We want them on, So it was a joint decision at the start. And then it's more kind of gone into that role of, and just to delegate too, because, I'm doing the announcing thing. I work full time. I'm a full time single dad, and now adding on the pro. I knew that, I'm going to need somebody to help me out, obviously. I can't do it all on my own.
Oh yeah.
And so Keith has been, absolutely amazing in that. He knows a lot of wrestlers to book and to talk to and everything. Great at coming up with ideas. And a lot of times, if he does get stumped or something, because we're talking, usually through Messenger all day, every day. So, I'm able to kind of be like, well, hey, what do we think about doing this? And then, he's usually like, yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. And, okay, cool. Keep on, rolling with what you're doing.
Awesome.
I stepped into it, with the knowledge that I bring to the table of just the production side of things, the announcing, the commentary, the camera work, editing videos, and then really just handling like the day-to-day business side of it. So, the finances, setting up, sponsorship packages, keeping a track of sponsorship, the social media side of it, and pretty much all the Facebook posts and everything is all done by me. So in that sense, it's a perfect equal partnership between us. And again, I know he's not with us tonight, but Michael Dampier, the burger chef, he has been very instrumental in just, mingling and who to know and who to talk to and helping set up sponsors with us and everything absolutely too. So, there's, it's definitely a group of, friends that, we've all become friends through wrestling, that have decided to group up together and start running a promotion. And we all, understand our own strengths that we bring to it. There's certainly, I don't feel there's any ego involved from anybody, and we all just really mesh well and pair well together as running a team. It's all in the interest of how can we put the best product out there, not, how are we as a single individual going to get recognition from this?
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing for me was not being a fan. Like I had to, when I'm writing shows, I'm like, okay, don't make my really good friend win. I'm like, man, look, you're gonna lose. Like I had to.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine.
It's a business. I need to fill the building. I can't just be a fan and be like, okay, I really want to see this guy and that guy. Like, okay, but what do you want to see? I gotta.
Yeah. I imagine it's difficult not to fanboy out.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
People all over the country like messaging us, and they're like,
wow,
man, we want to be on your show. And I'm like, you're in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you hear about us? Like, he had some lady message from like Denver and was like, oh, I saw you're just starting out. I really want to come help you all out. And we're like,
all right.
What? Like, where did you come from?
And Keith and I have a saying with each other too when something just amazing happens that we couldn't even like fathom or we weren't even thinking about, and we'll just either message each other or kind of shoot a glance at each other and just be like, lightning in a bottle, man. That's just what we call
there
it.
There it is.
So when we came out and announced we were gonna do this, like everything has really grown completely organically. Like I think I've spent maybe $30 on Facebook advertising just to help spread out about our event and everything. But outside of that, most everybody that we've heard from has heard from us before we've even reached out to them. And to us, it's an amazing ride because we're like, what did we stumble upon? We were just two guys riding in a car like, hey, we want more wrestling. You know enough people, I know enough people. Let's make a show happen. And I told Keith, I was like, I think Hot Springs is primed and ready for one. Let's do it. And that was the match to light the bonfire extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, we checked. And everyone else is doing shows, and we settled on the second Saturday of each month. There's not that many shows going on that weekend. None nearby. The ones nearby, I purposely didn't want to go anywhere near that time of the month because I just want all the wrestling I can get. I just want more wrestling.
Yeah. You want to get the biggest crowds you can. You want to have the best crowd you can on hand. That way you can have the biggest show. That way you can have the most swell and the most amount of people that you possibly could have to spread the word about your promotion, or your show. And I think Hot Springs having one show for the past 5 years has been great, but Hot Springs definitely could use another wrestling promotion, at least one, and maybe two in the future. Who knows?
I used to go, it was probably six years ago or so, at Rumors Bar and watched wrestling there.
AWE, man.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And now we're doing
AWO.
varsity
AWO. That was AWO, correct?
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, Arkansas Wrestling Organization. Barmore and Don Riggin was in it, and yeah. I wanted to go and see some of those shows, but I wasn't ever.
Oh man, they tore that place down.
Yeah. And Drayshawn Prince was the very first AWO heavyweight champion, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow,
nice.
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming on the show later in the season, so I'm excited about that interview as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He's
got
a great guy.
Him and Kurt Castle, and I've already had Troy Twain on last season, the season finale of season 1. Troy Twain came on. So I've met several wrestlers through training off and on since 2018 and stuff. And it's awesome how much of for the most part, how much of a brotherhood there is in wrestling. Sometimes you meet them bad apples that just kind of want to go in, do their thing, and leave, and don't want to socialize, don't want to try to help anybody else, just want to get in there and do their thing and get out. But for the majority, people want to help, other wrestlers want to help other wrestlers grow and stuff. And I assume, and I don't know, I assume they want to help your promotions grow as well. Has that been something that you've been able to experience so far?
I want to really say, yes and no. So, I mean, I think, if you're a talent on any promotion, you're agreeing to take that booking, then of course, your number one thing that I feel should be helping make that show successful. I mean, that just, the more people that show up to the event that you're on, the more, you're in front of their eyes out there.
Yeah.
Outside of, I can't really think of anybody, special right now that's done anything, above and beyond helping us grow outside of, everybody's been sharing our posts and, posting on Facebook. We're starting to, get, our promos coming in from the talent. And they're starting to kind of mark their territory and start sizing up their competition and everything. We're just under a month away from our first event. I think a lot of people, especially with it being our debut event, it's just kind of one of those, you can only put so much into it and hope, but we're not going to see, the fruit from all of our labors until that first event happens. That's going to let us know, how successful everything that we've done up to that point is and how successful we can be. With that being said, I think as we talk about, just the natural organic way that it's grown and gotten the word out there, I think that the first event is going to be absolutely huge. I think that the excitement has built for it, and I haven't really seen it die down at all. I think a lot of people, right now are just waiting for March 9th to get here pretty much and get it going and see what happens.
I'm definitely waiting for it. I'm going to try to get my brother and my dad to go with me to it. Because I absolutely want to go and see it. I mean, I love watching wrestling, and hell, who wouldn't want to have a beer while they're sitting down watching some wrestling? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things that Keith and I both agreed on when we came up with the promotion is that we want to try and be different. And I know that every promotion says that. They want to bring something different to it. But we truly, it's like I told him, I said, when we formed it up, I said, I don't want to do any, factions trying to take over the organization or anything like that. I want to come up with new, fresh faces. I want to come up with new angles. I want to be able to bring in, those people that are, properly trained, but they're still very green, and have them, go, early on in the card, but where they get some experience in the ring. And that's why our tagline is, Vapors Championship Wrestling, where legends are made. Because I want to bring in, from the spectrum, those guys that are, very green and maybe only have a couple matches under their belts, to, the experienced independent wrestlers that have been on the scene for a while. And that way then we have a good locker room of, those that can learn and those that can teach, and vice versa, as those new guys are coming up, they may have a trick to show, show an old dog a new trick sort of thing,
Yeah.
And I think that's a good recipe for success. I think that it helps everybody out all around, and I think that it'll make us definitely a destination that not only people will want to come see, because they'll get a chance to see the mix between the new talent and the old talent, but a place where talent want to come and perform, because there's going to be a crowd there. There's going to be, people to see. They're going to get a chance to practice their craft, even if they're brand new, and not have to worry about, doing it in front of, their mom and uncle and brothers and sisters that come out to the show and see them do it. They're going to be able to get critiques right there. And so we're giving them the opportunity to, bring them to the water of knowledge and to the pool of knowledge, and they have to choose whether they're going to drink it or not. But yeah,
Right.
How did you get in? How did you get into Boogies? And that did sound really good. How did you get into Boogies as far as a venue? And is it somewhere that you're going to be possibly staying at for the long haul, or are you going to try to go somewhere else after a little while?
I would like to eventually go to a different venue that can be all ages, but the owner of Boogies owns Frosty Treat, where I work. And when we came up with the wrestling thing, we had looked somewhere else, and they wanted a bit more money than we were comfortable with. And I was talking to the owner, and he was like, "Do it here." I was like, "Ooh. Okay." So
there you go.
Yeah.
I will interrupt here to absolutely say Jeff and Michelle Oral over at is that how you pronounce the last name? Oral. Okay. Jeff and Michelle Oral over at Boogie's Bar and Grill have been an absolute. I cannot say enough positive words about it. They've been an absolute amazing blessing to Vapors Championship Wrestling, to Keith, to me. It's just I cannot get over the opportunity that they have extended to us, and I'm absolutely grateful for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're just as excited as we are.
I think that Go ahead. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy.
They were the first people to buy our shirts. They're over there at the bar right now wearing them. I just came from work, and they were wearing their shirts. I was like, yeah, they've had our flyer on their. They have like TV monitors that cycle through different things they're doing, and our flyer's been up there for over a month in rotation.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's great.
And they've already pretty much, greenlit us, said, whatever you guys need to do, feel free to do it, as long as, of course, we don't tear down the bar. But whatever we need to do, go ahead and do it. However long we need to have the bar for to do an event, they want to help us out in any way, and we're just so grateful for it. It really, once that happened, it was full steam ahead. All right, we're doing this now.
I imagine, man. I imagine. And the thing about it is, earlier you were saying, March 9th is really the day we'll see how what the fruits of our labor bring, And the title says the event name says it all. This is the proving ground for VCW. You know what I mean? It's really exciting.
We've talked about we were in a 3-hour car ride. Just talking, we were like, man, what do you think we call this? And we're like, just going through stuff. And I was like, proving grounds. And Rich is like, that's it.
Yep.
He's like,
that's the one.
And our second show is going to be called
The New Standard.
The New Standard.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Either
that's a cool name.
We haven't decided, but yeah.
Yeah, we're not sure
That's
if
a
it's
cool
the
name.
Standard or a New Standard, but that'll be
I
the
like-
second show.
Well, and really,
In my
what's going
opinion-
on? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in my opinion, the new standard sounds awesome. It's like you're
Right.
setting the standard, the new standard for professional wrestling with this second show. The first one's to prove that you're here. The second one's to show that this is the new standard, the new standard.
Exactly.
Not just, it's not just a new standard. It is the new standard, you know? That sounds really cool. Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry for interrupting you, buddy.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, yeah, it kind of leads up because our first event on March 9th is Proving Grounds. And out of, we've got a couple of tag team matches on there also that we're going to be doing. But out of our singles competitions that we have set for the card that night, out of the singles matches, each winner from the singles match is going to advance to our event in May that will be called the New Standard. And at that event, they are going to be all in the ring at the same time. We're going to have a scramble, essentially. And I'll let Keith kind of tell you how that'll work. But,
I was actually gonna ask about. I saw the championship, beautiful. I mean, gorgeous championship. I messaged both. Oh, there it is. Wow.
It weighs almost 7 pounds. It's great.
It is beautiful, man. It is beautiful. I saw it and I was like, wow, they're going all in. It's gorgeous, you know. And I was wondering, how is this going to be determined? How are you going to decide who's going to go and face off for that thing? And what is going to be the match? And Keith, I guess you're about to tell us, so go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a scramble. I'm going to have all the winners from the first show. And basically, if the guys play their cards right, during the course of the match, they can all be champion. At least for 10 seconds or something, till they get pinned. So when time runs out, whoever is given the last pin, they will be crowned the champion.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Give us the lineup for the first show. What's the matches looking like?
we got, so we're going to kick it off. We're going to have and they've already been firing up against each other, man. They're ready to tear each other's head off. But we got the everyday challenger, Troy Twain, going against stepdaddy, the morale killer, Wade Matthews. He just posted that he's got a special gift in store, special late Valentine's Day gift in store for a lot of the ladies in attendance. So we'll see what's going on with that, and then we're gonna have a triple threat match featuring
Juicy Joe Garcia.
Yeah, newcomer onto the scene here in Arkansas, Juicy Joe Angelo Garcia, against Judas, who actually we got to see him. He wrestles a lot up at OCW, out of control.
Okay, and Hoxie.
Hoxie, yeah, we got to see him up there and talk to him. He's a really great guy and coming down. And then we're going to have, I'm not sure if you've heard of him or not, but the great famous Jimmy Buffet.
Jimmy Buffet, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he's great.
Yep, we're going to have him. They're going to be going in a triple threat match. You want to talk about the others? Let's see. I know we're looking up. I have a board here that I keep track.
You're all good, man. Do what y'all need to. I love
We're
this.
doing Hell Patrol versus Big Money Franchise versus Dragon Clan. It'll be a elimination style Texas Tornado match. All six of the guys will be in the ring.
Wow.
Until there's one.
Yep.
Man.
That'll be
giving me major Hardy Boys, Dudleys, and giving me major Hardy Boys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian vibes on that one.
Absolutely. And then after that, we're gonna have the Piranha Devian face off against Spider Varric Vane. You know, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Oh yeah,
been around the scene for quite a while. Absolutely great guy. And then our main event of the evening that we have slotted right now, I'm telling you, it is gonna leave. It's gonna be jaw dropping. It's gonna leave people on the edge of their seats. I cannot wait to see what these two guys do to each other. As weird as that sounds, but yeah, basically as they face off in the ring, it's gonna be very intense. And I'm gonna let Keith tell you who's in the lineup, because if I go into it too much, I'm gonna be having to hop in a time machine or something and go to March.
He's gonna be like, whoo, whoo.
Larry Huffer, the Red River Brawler out of Texas, versus William J. Blackwell.
There we go.
Classic.
There we go.
It will be a barn burner, as they say.
It's gonna be as
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. As good old JR would say, it's gonna be a slobber knocker.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely. Very excited about the main event. I know that we've had a lot of people reach out when we announced it, and they were like, "Oh, wow, that's going to be a heck of a matchup." And we're like, "We know, that's why we booked it that way."
Plus, I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. There's some other people who may or may not be there, but it's
all right
to watch.
I do know that unfortunately, we were only able to fit so many people on the card. We would love to be able to use everybody that reached out to us, because, I mean, trust us, we've probably, between the two of us, received easily 100 messages of, "Is there any room on your March event?" And we're like, we'll keep you in mind. I do know that because of that, there are a few talent out there that have just said that, they may show up and let themselves be heard, that they're upset that somebody got a spot over them. On the card, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't know. Hopefully, everybody's able to remain, cool-headed, but I know there was some animosity that certain people got put on the card over others.
Yeah. Well, what is the goal right now? What is the goal for VCW? As far as being in a bar environment, being a bar wrestling promotion at the moment, not forever, but at the moment, you're a bar wrestling promotion. Is it going to be treated as such, or is it going to be, are you going to try to do something different with it? As far as, bar shows, normally you get a lot of silliness. You get a little bit of playfulness, but also you get some more hardcore style stuff as well, because they're drunk people in there that are wanting to see some funny or crazy crap. Are we going to play, or are you going to try to play towards that, or is it going to be something completely different?
Well, one of the things we both decided on is that we want to stay away from gimmicks for no reason. Like, we're not just going to have, two guys get into the ring and have a death match and be busting, glass tubes over each other's heads and everything just because they want to. We don't want to be that type of promotion. I think that, our goal is to obviously build up a following, having the bar events. I think, long term, eventually we'd like to, start building up at the bar events, grow our crowd, not, out of choice of, wanting to go to another venue, but because we've outgrown the bar venue, essentially. And at that point, then we can look at a bigger venue that will, maybe still allow us to have, alcohol sales or whatever, where people can come and have a beer, but it's also more of a family-friendly environment. And I know a lot of people, look at that and go, well, how can you have a family-friendly environment and also have alcohol being served at your event? To that,
you can buy alcohol at Raw.
Exactly. I was going to say, you can buy alcohol at Raw. You can go to a family All-American baseball game. You're going to be able to buy a beer there. So why not an independent wrestling event?
Accurate. I agree completely with that statement at the end, the sentiment that you put on there. It sounds like you guys have got a lot of really good stuff going, though. Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead. What?
The Texas guys coming.
Yeah. Lots of, I don't want to release too much, there's always stuff going on the back burner and everything. We've got, we are partnered up already with Infinity Pro Championship Wrestling out of Jacksonville. and another promotion called TNR Wrestling out of, what is it, Leechville?
Leechville.
Yeah, Leechville, Arkansas, up near that way.
I think they do like wrestling with pride and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I believe they also do wrestling with pride. I know that, just in general at our first event, I've heard from people that there's supposed to be some other representatives of promotions that may be checking us out and interested in partnering up. So, it's just as we can find more like-minded people that want to work together and we all help promote each other's events and, help each other out the best way that we can. We're always willing to sit down and talk with anybody.
Yeah, we're talking about possibility of a super show between a couple different promotions and having a bunch of guys from each there. We've been talking about that for a little bit now.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Especially if you could do that.
My goal is just more wrestling. That's all I keep saying. I just want more wrestling.
More wrestling for him. The ultimate goal for me, as far as the promotion goes, I think I would love to start off, locally like we are at Boogie's. Eventually, grow into a bigger venue. I know we're always interested in, and we were looking at the Vapors Lounge in downtown Hot Springs. That'd be a cool place. Of course, eventually, I'd love to be able to have an event at the convention center right here in Hot Springs.
Dude, that would be outstanding.
Right.
That would be outstanding, man. Man.
That place, that holds 2,500 people. That would be great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think it would be great to see that. And whenever I was doing my backyard promoting and stuff like that, and I wanted to try to, potentially at some point I had thought about making my promotion into a professional promotion, but there was no funds or anything, so there wasn't realistically a way to do it. But the goal for me was always just to make Arkansas wrestling better, to bring more Arkansas wrestling promotions out, because, man, we have so much freaking talent in Arkansas that doesn't get seen, and if we can make Arkansas wrestling bigger and better, we may see a lot more talent like Alexander Gold going to AEW, going to WWE, going to TNA. I mean, look, you got pretty boy Matt Odom off in Georgia doing amazing stuff. Well, not currently, but he's working his way back from an injury. And he's going to be back probably, I'm guessing, Coastal Championship Wrestling or whatever it was. I can't remember the name of the promotion. But he was their heavyweight champion, and he's been on Impact Plus and all kinds of stuff. But you got him from Arkansas being able to do that. You got Alexander Gold going on to AEW Dark when it was around. That's two names out of hundreds of names that are, being honest, just as talented that haven't got seen because Arkansas wrestling is not prominent, And if we can do anything to make Arkansas wrestling more prominent, that's the best thing, in my opinion. But that's just a thought. You know what I mean? That's just my thought on the issue, on the subject of Arkansas wrestling. I think Vapors is going to be great, guys. I think it's going to be awesome. You have a beautiful championship. You got high-level talent coming in. You've got awesome card for your first show to see really how good Vapors Championship Wrestling can be at their proving ground on March 9th. We got so much really cool stuff.
On me. I was like, man, I hope I blow my load on this first card. And I was like, my second card, I gotta do something for that, because it's a good first card. It
is a really good first card, man. It really is. So winding down right now on this episode of the podcast, we usually end with the same thing. If you watch a very prominent podcaster, his initials are CVV. I do something very similar to him, and Rich knows this. I am a very grateful guy, just like that guy is. And at the end of every episode, I talk about 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I usually don't change that much, if I'm being honest. My support system, which is my family, my friends, my fiance, my kids, anybody who's really been there to support me on any journey that I've taken, whether it was music, wrestling, filmmaking, anything. That is a big one that I'm grateful for. The second is you guys, for one. I am very grateful to have any and every guest that comes on because, guys, you don't have to be here. You know, no one has to come on this show. I'm just some random dude talking to people. So,
I skipped trivia night for this.
He said, are you kidding me? I skipped trivia night for this crap. No. but
No, I'm glad
my
to be
guests,
here.
my guests are very important to me because without you guys, I'd just basically be journaling, and there's no, I could do that without putting it online. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very thankful for that. And the other thing is having self-confidence. I'm very grateful that I have learned to grow and have self-confidence in myself enough to do this, enough to be able to talk to guys like you and people like the MMA fighters, the actors, the singers, the football players, the coaches that I've had on and will have on in the future. You know, I'm very grateful that I have that ability when so many people are crippled by fear and can't do this kind of stuff. They're not physically able to. They have panic attacks. So I'm very grateful that I've been able to have the help, therapeutically anyways, to be a stronger individual and be able to talk to people such as yourselves, great people like you guys. Keith, let's start with you since you haven't done this yet, man. What are 3 things you're grateful for at this very moment?
My family allowing me to get into this crazy wrestling business and dealing with me. Having probably the best boss I ever had, who's just so supportive. And I don't know. That almost covers all of it. All you guys, if you weren't into it, I wouldn't be sitting here doing your show either. Yeah, you'd be sitting there, talking to no one.
That's accurate. That's accurate.
I'd be sitting here
Rich, what about
talking
you?
to no one.
Oh,
What about you, man?
I was going to say, I can't remember what I said the last time. So, it's probably changed up a little bit since
Listen
the last
back
time.
and
But
see
yeah, hang on, let me go pull up my episode real quick.
Hang on.
Of course, I'm grateful, number one, for my kiddo. His name's Jax. Just great kid. I love seeing him just get excited about everything. And
He's hiding under the desk below us.
He's been here the whole time listening to the podcast, just kind of chilling in the background. And it's just so funny to me because, and I love it because every time, Raw comes on or SmackDown or I have an event, he knows all the, different promotions that I work for. And, are you going to do this one? Is so-and-so going to be there? So I'm grateful to be able to not only be in it, but also be able to see it through his eyes. And the excitement that he gets connecting to it is an awesome experience. Obviously grateful for people like you, that do the podcasts and not only just, those people, but just everybody that has come out and told me, hey, we're going to be at your event. Hey, we're rooting for you. Hey, we're supporting you. Hey, if we can help, let us know how. Hey, I'm so glad to hear that you and Keith are doing an event. How can I be a part of it? The amount of support and encouragement that we have gotten from everybody has been something that you could have walked up to me and been like, I bet you $500 if you do this, that this is what's going to happen. And I would have been like, no, you're out of your freaking mind. That's not.
Yeah.
And, so I'm grateful for that. And then, I hate to be cliche or anything, but absolutely 100% grateful for God above, for providing the opportunities, for providing me, blessing me with the right people to cross my path and get to know, and really you know, I feel that like I'm 37 years old, and I feel like I'm just now really starting to find kind of my tribe of people, the people that I know I can count on. And I just thank God for, you know, putting those people in my life, and for making the opportunities happen and the abundance of blessings that have come my way and are going to continue to come my way, Keith's way, our way, everybody's way. So, yeah. Yep.
All right. Hey, those are 6 wonderful things from both of you guys, and definitely things for sure to be grateful for. Guys, again, I appreciate the hell out of you coming on this show. It means a lot because I know you guys are. I know you guys are super busy because you're planning not only the show that you've got coming up in less than a month, March 9th, Proving Grounds and Boogie Sparring Grill. You know,
doors open
you've got
6, first bell at 7.
There you go. There's details right there, guys. If you're listening and watching, there's the details. But you have a whole bunch of stuff that y'all guys are doing, and you didn't have to come on, so I really appreciate it, guys. But I'm not going to keep you any longer. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you for coming on. It means a lot to me, guys. You have no idea. So have a wonderful rest of y'all's evening, and hopefully we'll be able to talk soon.
Hey, real quick again, I do want to thank you for having us on, and if you don't mind, we'll let you get one more shot at that nice, brand new, beautiful championship that, again, we're going to crown. We'll have it at the March 9th event.
Can I hold it?
Heavyweight, our heavyweight champion, our inaugural champion, will be crowned on May 11th.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
See, guys, this is what I'm talking about. Arkansas wrestling, I feel like, does not get the shine it deserves. We've got so much great talent. William J. Blackwell, we've got Kurt Castle, Troy Twain, Drayshawn Prince, Draven Morrow, the Warwolf, Bruce McGowan. We got Hell Patrol in the tag division, the Heartbreakers in the tag division, younger guys like Jeremy Lewis. I mean, so many different people in Arkansas that are great professional wrestlers that just don't get the proper amount of exposure. And I think this is the big problem with Arkansas wrestling, you know. We don't get that exposure, and if we did, man, we would blow it up all over the country and possibly the world. I think we have some of the best wrestlers in the world, if you ask me. But if you're in the Hot Springs, Arkansas area, March 9th, go to Boogie's Bar and Grill and check out Vapors Championship Wrestling's Proving Grounds first ever event. It is going to light Hot Springs on fire, guys. I swear, it is going to be an awesome event. Rich and Keith did an amazing job putting a card together, and you heard about it on this episode. So go and check that out. Go on Facebook. Go on YouTube once they're on there. Go wherever and support Vapors Championship Wrestling. You won't regret it. I promise you. Looking forward to our next episode, though. We have a big-time guest. We have a guy who has been on Dana White's Contender Series, a guy who has torn through the middleweight division. The guy is in the welterweight division right now in MMA. We are talking about the next guest on this show, a really cool guy, Donovan, the highlight reel Beard. Guys, I cannot wait for that episode. It is going to be a lot of fun. But until then, never forget to always listen when Adam talks. You guys have a great rest of your day.